Welcome to this review of Conscious Discipline, and in this section we will explore our fundamental beliefs about children. Who are we teaching anyway? Answering this question will help you examine your beliefs about children and how they learn, which in turn will affect how you teach children, how you feel about them, and how you will behave towards them. Here's how we'll approach this issue. Let's get started with a brief overview of the behaviorist school of thought. The behaviorist school was led by psychologists and researchers such as B.F. Skinner, John B. Watson, Clark Hull, Edward Thorndike, and Ivan Pavlov. They believed that children come into the world as blank slates on which anything could be written, dry sponges that soak up everything that is poured into them, and fresh clay that can be shaped and molded and remolded into whatever figure predetermined by the adults. They believed that the actions or beliefs and behaviors of children are conditioned or determined by the quality, frequency, and duration of external stimuli. That being the case, so they reasoned, children's behavior can be controlled, eliminated, or increased by simply adjusting the quality, frequency, and duration of those external influences. They had great success in proving their theories through their experiments on animals, particularly dogs, rats, and monkeys. Pavlov's salivating dogs are the most well-known example of these experiments. They and subsequent behaviorists took what they learned from these laboratory studies on animals and applied it to human learning theory. They believed that any person could potentially be trained to learn or perform any task, regardless of things like genetic background, personality traits, and internal thoughts. All it takes is the right conditioning. Internal states such as thoughts, beliefs, moods, feelings, and emotions were considered irrelevant to behavior because those forces could not be measured. The most important thing for them was changing the outward behavior. In the realm of education, the main question for the behaviorists was, what do we want these kids to do or learn? Their starting point was, how can we get this child to do X? The second question was naturally, what forces or influences can we apply to get the child to do X? These influences take many forms, but can be split into two main categories, rewards or reinforcements, and punishments. Rewards can be anything from grades, gold stickers, food, extra time with something or someone special, to new cars. Anything pleasant that might motivate a child to repeat a desired behavior. Punishments, on the other hand, include anything from taking toys away, bad grades, reprimands, deprivation of time with special things or persons, isolation, and even physical punishment. The thinking is basically that these rewards and punishments will sufficiently motivate children to increase desired behavior or decrease the unwanted behavior. To their credit, behaviorists sought to give parents and educators the tools whereby they could effectively control, manage, and shape their children's behavior for the better. Behaviorism is still very popular, and bookstores are chock full of books on how to optimally administer elaborate systems of rewards and punishments to help teachers and parents achieve desired effect. This is so because rewards and punishments actually work. For some children, rewards and punishments are all the motivation they need to help change outward behavior. However, as many of us have experienced with our most challenging students, rewards and punishments don't always work, and usually lead to bigger or more expensive rewards or bigger and harsher punishments. Well, now let's switch gears and talk about the humanistic school. The humanistic school is sometimes called the child-centered, constructivist, or developmental school of thought, and was led by such figures as John Piaget, Erik Erikson, Carl Rogers, Abraham Maslow, John Bowlby, Mary Ainsworth, and many others. This school of thought believed that children are born with several powerful instinctive drives and needs, and contrary to the behaviorist school, children are not born with a blank slate. Furthermore, they believe that children's behavior is influenced as much by internal forces as by external forces. They taught that children's most fundamental drive is a drive to survive and be alive, and infants, rooting, grasping, and crying are all examples of this instinct to live. Furthermore, children are not merely passive learners, responding and adapting to external stimuli. On the contrary, they are actively shaping and changing their environment to meet their needs. They also believe that children have an inborn drive to belong and to trust others. Children instinctively, though unconsciously, know that attaching themselves to others, especially loving and dependable caregivers, will help them ensure their physical and emotional well-being. They will attach themselves to whomever will provide them the best chance for survival. Eric Eckerson specifically believed that children also instinctively seek out autonomy. That is, they try to do things on their own, which helps them gain confidence in their ability to survive on their own. Children also naturally want to do things that are important. They want to make meaningful contributions to their communities, and by so doing, they ensure a place in that community. Furthermore, they don't just passively wait for these activities to occur, but actively seek them out through and with the adults in their lives. Thus, for teachers and parents, our main task is to work with kids to help them harness and guide those innate drives and instincts in ways that help them live meaningful, productive, and helpful lives. So that's what these psychologists believe. But what are your fundamental beliefs about children? For the remainder of the time, use a chart paper to jot down the words or phrases that summarize your basic beliefs about children. When you finish, the courier will take your chart to the cafeteria to share with the school. And that will conclude this section of the Conscious Discipline Review.